I just wanted to live. The bus lurched forward, jostling me in my seat. I stifled a cough and a strained "fuck" under my breath, wincing as pain radiates through my chest with every jerking motion. I'd had enough of being sensitive to every single sudden movement. I'd had enough of the shooting pains in my chest and the mental coin flip I did hundreds of times a day, wondering if I'd just taken my last breath. Enough of this bullshit. Through the smudged window, I watched healthy people going about their lives, jogging, walking dogs, sipping coffee, just getting on with their lives, happy, healthy, full of excitement. While I sat blissfully aware of the ticking clock inside my ribcage, a glance to my right revealed a young boy, no more than 6, staring intently at the medical bracelet circling my wrist. Shit. I quickly tucked my hand into my lap, out of view. It's not nice to stare, I heard the boy's mother admonish under the sound of my own pulse in my ears. As we rumbled along, I found myself drifting into brooding thoughts. How did such simple tasks, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, coining a fucking scratch card, become Herculean tasks? My failing engine transformed each day into an exercise in endurance. And the waiting list. The fucking waiting list. That interminable purgatory where I languished in limbo, praying for the call that would deliver me from this prison of rotting flesh. Fuck. My life. I coughed again, each spasm sending spikes of pain through my chest. The mother shot me a nervous glance and pulled her son closer. I remained an outsider, marked and excluded. My hand absently traced the outline of the bracelet beneath my shirt. A badge of weakness. After all, who wants to be around a guy who at any given moment could just drop dead right in front of you? Never mind the fact that I'd be dead. They would be traumatized. That kid didn't deserve that. His mother didn't deserve that. Maybe that was why I pushed Sarah away like I did. But soon, redemption would come. A motherfucking rebirth. Another's heart to replace my defective one. To those who condemned me as unworthy, I would prove them wrong. I would rise again. Unique. Special. Whole. This tortuous path led to that singular shining moment. My apotheosis. I would stick my tongue out at the kid. I would make his mother laugh and maybe even find me attractive. I would get Sarah back and we would do the deed like our college days without worrying about me ending the night in a body bag. The bus slowed and I rose on unsteady legs, gripping the railing for support. As I descended the steps, I thought back to the phone call that had shattered the monotony of that interminable wait. "We have a potential donor match," the voice had said. Those words unlocked something deep inside, a tide of elation and disbelief. After so many false hopes, so many setbacks, so many thousands of dollars I didn't have, could this finally be it? I blinked against the glare as my feet touched the pavement. The Chariot Clinic loomed before me, gleaming and modern, all smooth glass and stainless steel. My worn shoes seemed out of place crossing that pristine threshold. Inside, the reception area was hushed and dim, the chairs arranged just so. A shrine to order and efficiency. I studied the brushed steel accents and recessed lighting, marveling at the contrast. My own rough edges, my cracks and imperfections had no place here. Yet this temple held the power to remake little old me, to shape crude clay into a finer vessel. I would emerge transformed, the person I was always meant to be, whole, unique, transcendent, a tough motherfucker, a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. The old self shed, the new self rising from those gleaming operating tables like a phoenix from ash. The receptionist behind the sleek desk looked up with a warm smile as I entered. Her name tag read Karen in neat block letters. "Good morning," she said brightly. "You must be David. We've been expecting you." I nodded, suddenly unsure what to do with my clammy hands. Karen's smile was so genuine, so real, that I felt myself relaxing slightly. "I remember my first day here," she said, her voice softening. I was so nervous I could hardly speak. But the team here is just wonderful. They really care, you know? They made everything easy for me. She touched her chest lightly, and I noticed a small scar peeking above her collar. Karen was like me, one of the club. "Let me show you the waiting area," she said, coming around the desk. "We'll get those forms filled out and then the doctors will see you." I followed mutely down a wide corridor. What was wrong with me? Why couldn't I speak? Why was I so nervous about something I'd needed for so long? Karen's shoes clicked briskly on the polished floor. The walls here were a tranquil robin's egg blue, Sarah's favorite color, dotted with generic nature photographs. It was clearly an attempt to soothe, to provide a veneer of comfort over the clinical sterility. It almost worked. The waiting room itself was softly lit, with plush chairs and potted plants. A few other patients sat reading or staring blankly into space. They were like photocopies of me, with their sickly gray complexion, baggy eyes, purple lips, weariness to do any kind of movement, expressions of permanent exhaustion. We were all here for the same reason. Karen handed me a clipboard with multiple forms attached. "Just have a seat and fill these out. Someone will come get you soon." She gave my arm a reassuring pat. I almost shuddered away. It had been that long since someone had touched me. What a sad fuck I'd become. I sank into a chair, pen hovering over the paperwork. Name, date, medical history. This shit I was well versed in by now. My hand shook slightly as I wrote. I watched the others, one by one, disappear through the door at the far end of the room, the portal to whatever lay ahead. Each time it opened, I caught a brief glimpse of a long hallway and the edge of another door. Then it would close, shutting off that view and my imagination of what was happening beyond. A quiet room where we were in good hands. That's what it was. The waiting room slowly emptied out until I was the only one left. I paced back and forth, straining to hear any sounds from the mysterious hallway. But it was eerily quiet. The ticking of the clock on the wall seemed unnaturally loud. What was I doing here? This had all happened so fast. The call, the tests, the dizzying preparation. Doubt crept in. My motivation felt suddenly rash. Was this drastic measure really necessary? Or was I chasing a quick but expensive solution for something where, like every fucking surgeon I'd seen so far had said, there was none? I should have asked Sarah. She was the level-headed one, always had been. Shit. I looked around the vacant room. There was still time to simply walk or shuffle away, continue on as I was. A zombie. A ticking time bomb. It would be so easy. I sat paralyzed. A click of the door handle jarred me from my thoughts. A nurse appeared, smiling gently. "David, we're ready for you now." This was it. My moment of truth had arrived. I took a deep breath and walked forward, each step carrying me toward the unknown. Toward hope. Toward life. Toward being the living fucking legend I used to be. I steadied myself with a deep breath before taking the first step toward a new life. The dim corridor stretched before me, shadows dancing in the flickering fluorescent lights. Grotesque medical illustrations covered the walls, depicting diseases and deformities I prayed to never experience. What the fuck was this? It felt like the polar opposite of the corridor to the waiting room. Instead of soothing us, they wanted to shock us? The nurse's soft shoes whispered against the linoleum, but each footfall rang out like a hammer blow. I rasped, "How much farther?" "Not far now, Mr. Thompson. Are you feeling all right?" Her smile seemed painted on, lifeless. I rubbed my clammy hands on my jeans, swallowing hard. Just nerves. That was a lie. I was feeling that familiar dizziness, that impending doom in the back of my throat. Over what? I didn't know. But it was there. She placed a cold hand on my shoulder. "Try to relax. Everything will be over soon." Over soon. That felt off. The finality of those words chilled my blood. I shivered, nodding, unable to force any more words through my constricted throat. We continued on in silence. We came to an abrupt stop in front of a white door. This was it. I hesitated, staring at the brushed metal handle. "Go on," the nurse urged. "They're waiting for you." I nodded, wiping my sweaty palms one last time before grasping the handle. I expected to enter an operating theater, sterile and gleaming with equipment that would save my life. Instead, I stepped into a slaughterhouse. The stench hit me first as I opened the door. The tang of blood hung heavy in the air, and viscera stained the floor. Bodies lay opened upon tables like sides of beef at a butcher's shop. Oh fuck. Oh my God. Surgeons carved into pale flesh, harvesting organs with brutal efficiency and dropping them into stained Tupperware containers. I stumbled back with a choked cry. The nurse's hand clamped upon my shoulder, holding me in place. I twisted to look at her, and she gave me a smile both chilling and satisfied. "What is this?" I rasped. "Supply and demand, Mr. Thompson." She waved a hand at the gruesome scene. "Your heart is of no use to you anymore, but it makes a delicious main course for some." I shook my head in stunned disbelief. What the fuck was happening, and what was this? They couldn't do this. It was murder. I had to get out, had to warn. A scream tore from my throat as two hulking orderlies grabbed my arms. They dragged me toward the bloody tables despite my desperate struggles. The nurse's heels clicked along behind us as she hummed a cheerful tune. "Let me go! Just let me fucking go!" I cried, as loud as I could, my dying heart pounding so hard I could feel it on my tonsils. Sheer panic and fear spread through my body like a virus. I thrashed and kicked as the orderlies hauled me to an empty table. The nurse's humming followed us, a twisted lullaby underscoring my terror. They slammed me down onto the blood-slicked surface. Restraints pinned my limbs before I could react. I craned my head, searching for any sign of mercy in my captors' eyes, but their faces were cold and impassive behind surgical masks. The nurse approached, scalpel glinting in her gloved hand. She traced its tip down my heaving chest, leaving a thin red line in its wake. "Please," I begged through tears. "Don't do this." She tilted her head, regarding me with detached curiosity. "Why ever not? Your heart is quite valuable, you know. I'll give you anything. Money, everything I have." I strained against the restraints. "Just let me go. Let me live, please. I just want to live." The nurse sighed. "Oh, Mr. Thompson, your organs are a delicacy, and worth more than you could ever possibly give us." She leaned over me, scalpel poised. I screamed as the blade plunged toward my chest, squeezing my eyes shut against the pain. This was it, the end of my journey. No brilliant flashbacks or profound realizations, only cold, only pain, and then nothing. I just wanted to live.